I'm back online, and today I have saved a few videos to watch with the collective here on my channel, whoever wants to or finds interest in this type of thing. And there goes my cat. Discontented as usual about the fact that he is not being fed as much as he wishes, but he is being fed an adequate amount, I can assure all watching. Let's see here. Okay, so I'm pulling up. A couple of the videos I saved were compilations done or accumulated by the channel Shapeshifter. I don't know if you all would be familiar with his content. He is somebody who has been transitioned. I don't know if I would call him a detransitioner exactly. I guess he would fall under that category, but he has been using his status and platform to speak out about this particular issue because he feels very strongly that, you know, what happened to him shouldn't have happened. And definitely is doing what he can to highlight the real cost of these things for other people. So I am a subscriber and noticed that he did these compilations, so I saved a couple of them. And then there was another video I found today, actually, from a detransition woman talking about her breasts, I guess, which had been removed. So all of these videos are going to pertain to, I think, the ramifications and complications that come from these medical interventions, which are totally unnecessary because a mental problem cannot be solved with a physical medical operation, can it? So I hope you enjoy watching along. Wow, my cat, look at him. He's just so wonderful. I'm so lucky. Okay, so let me get these queued up. Oh, Lisa. Lisa's here. Good to have you. Thank you. It's kind of you to say. Oh, wait, no. And that, yeah, there was another video I found about the social transition no one talks about. Okay, so let me pull that one up. Remove that as well. Oh, just got an alert from Amazon. My groceries will be delivered in a couple hours. How exciting. Okay, so this video. Oh my goodness. Okay, so this first video is actually from a transitioner. It looks like female to male, so yeah. Come on, I know how to do this. Goodness, just accidentally started playing again. Sorry, y'all. I'm like a boomer with this technology sometimes. They'll make it look so easy. Okay. Wish I could move this around more, I have to say. I've got limited option to move things around. I guess I can shrink myself slightly. Okay, that's good. Okay, that didn't save how I wanted it to. There we go. Y'all, they don't make it easy. Okay. let's start. Okay. Thank you for bearing with me.
Hey guys, so today I'm making a long time coming video. I'm going to be talking about the social transition that no one really talks about or prepares you when going on T. When you go on T, there's a form you sign kind of stating that you understand the changes that are coming. Obviously, all of these changes are all physical. Some of the changes you get are emotional, but these are things that are very talked about that you expect. I'm not sure why this isn't talked about. I haven't been able to find many videos online with people talking about their social changes. As a trans man, you have such a unique experience of experiencing the world initially as someone who's perceived as a female, and then you transition to a world where you're perceived as a male. And trans people, trans men specifically, have this really unique experience of experiencing their patriarchy firsthand through their gender, through how they're treated, initially as a female and then as a male. So the change I have felt and seen is drastic. You never get a chance to experience how your life would be for a day if you swap gender for that day. The difference is real. And I am so aware of the privilege I have that I've transitioned from female to male. I can't imagine what it must feel to go from being in a system that prioritizes you as a male and then going all the way to a trans female, which is one of the minorities treated worst by society. Something that I remember that shook me very early on, maybe halfway into my first year up to maybe the first year, felt like a really big change that I wasn't expecting at all. I hadn't even thought about happening, and that's the social transition you experience. I think for me especially, but a lot of us, because we are perceived as male quite a lot pre-T, because we try so hard to fit into the cis heteronormative stereotype. A lot of us are very, very different pre-T, and me personally, I experienced the world as if I was already being perceived as male, because I already felt male. But I didn't realize that a lot of the time society wasn't actually seeing me as male yet, and people were respecting me. My friends were respecting my pronouns, my name, but actually society didn't quite see me as a male yet. And
I mean, maybe I just have really good, radar here, but I perceive this person as female. I don't know. And good evening to Teal Woman here. It's so interesting to hear trans men go on about like this kind of thing, especially when they mentioning the patriarchy. It's just like, ugh. Why bother? And then they're like, I have so much privilege. And even saying that, she has more privilege than a man that does it. I'm like, that's not how patriarchy works. You don't ever lose your male privilege. I find it fascinating that they even could make the statement that they have more privilege than a trans woman, because it's so obviously the case that they don't. But anyway, let's continue. I mean, this privilege discussion, I mean, in comparison to what as well? Because I want to break down that concept as well. There's so many male privilege is one thing, but there's all these other privileges that women do have that can often put them at advantages that men don't have. So it seems to me like when people go on in that fashion and talk about the life and society that way, it's just all very strange to me. Like, especially like all of us here on the internet, like we have no idea how privileged we are sometimes. Anyway.
I didn't realize that. So at some point after
Oh
starting
my God, I just noticed, look at all those booze bottles in the background. That's really sad.
My voice started lowering. First changes started around 6 months in to a year. I started passing as cis a lot more. People didn't realize I was trans straight away. A lot of these changes, because I wasn't expecting them, they felt very overwhelming initially. But then as I've got used to it, I've felt a lot more comfortable with them. Some of the biggest changes I remember feeling at the start was in casual conversation, in day-to-day talks with people, activities, club nights, again, conversations. I started to notice that I started to feel that what I said mattered more. People cared more about what I said. This was a very small change initially, but a constant change. Yeah, I just had this overall feeling that when I said had more meaning, mattered more, people cared more about what I had to say.
And what's curious to me is that she doesn't think that it's to do with her trans status. You know, because to me, she's very obviously trans, and people go out of their way to, you know, prioritize and listen to and uplift trans people because they are the it minority right now. So I don't think it's because you're being perceived as male. It's because you're trans and you're very obviously so.
In groups. This was mostly.
I mean, that voice.
I just had this overall feeling that I mattered more, and what I had to say, what I was saying, it was more important. There is a slight ease and comfort to being perceived as male. Another big change was walking around at night. That's an obvious one. I feel much more safe now. I used to have to think about where I was going, where I was going through, what time I was going. I used to have to be really aware at night of what I was doing, where I was going. But that's completely pretty much gone away now. Although I'm a short.
I mean, some of that just might be the testosterone high, because I've spoken to trans men, like females who have transitioned, who have said that they now experience a whole other phenomenon when men see them. They have this instant kind of aggression that they hadn't noticed before. Which, if you are being perceived as male, other men perceive you as some kind of threat or some kind of like territory thing. I don't know exactly how to describe it, but someone I knew who had been a female transitioner described it to me like that. She had noticed that as she was passing more, that she was getting these kind of like more aggressive responses, or men kind of like, you know, giving her double takes and in ways that she didn't receive as a, you know, more obvious female. So I don't know. I think that's curious. I also think like, I don't know. So I'm not male. I've never walked through the world male or being perceived as male, but I don't think that I think women have a particular fear that we experience just because of our vulnerability. But I don't think men are, you know, without fear as they walk through the world. I think the threat of other men is also there for them. But just a side note.
As a guy, my concern for my safety is extremely lower. I don't really feel unsafe when I go anywhere. I don't feel risk. Not worried about my drink getting spiked. Not worried about getting attacked. I feel that I can defend myself, which I didn't so much before. Just a general feeling of safety and comfort. Some of the negatives I've noticed is, as being brought up as a female, I've had to be a lot louder about my needs and my wants in order for those to be heard. Whereas now that can be seen as more aggressive, more violent. That can be seen as it being too much. When a male does it, it can be quite intense. It can be very intimidating. So some of the main negative I've experienced socially, for example, at night, I'm much more aware that I am more intimidating than I was before. I'm aware that when I approach people in the street, when I approach people in public, I can be perceived in a more aggressive or intimidating way. I'm actually grateful in a way that I was able to experience life for an amount of time as a female and now experience it as a male, because I have awareness of situations that I wouldn't have awareness of if I was cis. I feel like this has given me an advantage in a way, and it lets me navigate male spaces and female spaces in a more comfortable way for other people. I understand how, as a male, it might be hard to actually realize, oh, what I'm doing might be seen as intimidating, might be seen as scary. But yeah, these are some of my experiences. I'm sure I'll think of more as soon as I stop recording. Hey, so I'm back. So it turns out when I made this video, there's like this whole big chunk that I missed out. I think I said that I'd probably miss some bits, but yeah, another really big social change when it comes to transitioning from female to male. So there's this massive loss of community. I remember how strongly I felt this, and I can't believe I'm so used to it now that I forgot completely how much this impacted me at the time. This is what I talked about feeling really overwhelming at the time, more than the other things. Women are there for each other. Like, women support each other, because in day-to-day, men a lot of the time kind of suck. Whereas women tend to not. That's the best way to put it, really. I just remember like being a part of this really supportive, loving community, and then suddenly I stopped being a part of it because I started
Because you don't
passing
like other
as
women or yourself.
male. The male community is feels much less supportive, much less loving, much less accepting. You feel a lot more like you have to put up a front, like you have to fit into this role to be accepted by the men. Whereas with women, you just feel loved and supported. This was actually one of the biggest changes I felt. Although I feel like it's a good thing in the sense that I'm now.
Maybe it's just me, but I don't really feel that way about women. Individual women, yeah, but like a community of women has never been anything but a snake pit to me.
Part of the community I should be in, and I come with all this previous knowledge from being brought up as a female, and I can input it into the male community and hopefully make it a little bit better, a little bit more supportive. I know
Please
a
don't.
lot of the men around me, a lot of the men that are my friends are very much like that, very supportive, very loving people. Although, again, can't complain. I'm so happy being perceived as male finally. But yeah, I remember how
Yo.
sad it felt to lose this really big, loving community that I felt a part of my whole life. Even once I discovered I was trans, because I was still perceived as female, I was still part of this support net. Make sure you've got nice friends around you. Make sure you've got a good support system, people that love you.
Yeah, I wanted to respond to this. I definitely have noticed, I don't know if I would call it mania, but the effects of testosterone do seem to give a kind of euphoria, especially at first. Like, you have all this energy. A lot of, female to males, however you want to put it, that I've known have like underlying health issues. So they'll have plenty of undiagnosed like chronic illnesses, body pain, what have you. And the testosterone actually helps them, overcome that, because men have a higher pain tolerance due to their levels of testosterone. It helps them kind of power through and do more. So being on testosterone is kind of like being on this wonder drug that makes you feel better, that gives you more energy, that gives you like more vitality. It doesn't last forever, but I have noticed that testosterone definitely does have an impact, especially on at first in a lot of ways, giving them more of that kind of energy.
You and care about you, because out in the wild, again, patriarchy is a thing, and you kind of expected to play this part. You don't have to play that part, but sometimes it's scary not to play that part. You don't know how some men are going to react. You don't know how some men can be with you. Whereas with women, it never felt that way. That is a big change. But again, it's not as dramatic as it sounds. Like, years in now, I'm used to it. I've luckily met really lovely guys, men that I actually get on with that are more on my level. And secretly, most men don't actually want to fit into this role that we're expected to play. For most men, it is just a front. And
Okay,
that's just
you know
not who they
what?
are. We all have emotions. We all get sad. We all feel. Uh, and
I'm so tired of this. Like, this, men have gotten too pathetic, honestly. And it's a problem in our culture. Like, it really is. I don't think that this kind of thing is helping. We have a real problem with men being too emotional. And there's nothing more dangerous to society than men who are out of control emotionally. Really. Like, we don't need to encourage them to be any more emotional than they already are. It's not good for them, and it's not good for everyone. So I don't like that kind of thing. Just I have seen the light about that. Okay, emotional men are dangerous. They are bad news. You stay away from them.
and it's just about having people around you that you're happy and comfortable with. That's really all that matters. Enjoy the rest of the video. So I think us trans men actually, in a way, have an advantage, making people aware that there really is a big difference between how it feels to be female in this world and how it feels to be male in this world. And it's a massive difference. It's not even a little difference. It's a difference that shook me a lot when I felt it, and it was overwhelming. There is all these expectations on men to be a certain way, to act a certain way by other men. So I felt I had to be a certain way to please other men, but I also had to be a certain way towards women to please other men, because that's how they were being and that's what they were expecting. That's not
Okay, love this comment. Love this comment. I know whenever I see a man looking like that, I'm like, okay, like it's a bit fruity, honestly. You know, it's not very macho. You don't look masculine. You look decorated. Like, why are you all decorated like a girl? Like, boys aren't supposed to be decorated like that. What are you doing? You look feminine. So, like, yeah, if this person is very feminine, and that's the case with a lot of transitioners. And that's even this person's, like, the way she speaks about how she perceives society and reality. She's very feminine.
how we should be. I don't think a lot of men even understand or comprehend the world of women and how men play such a big part in it. It's just about being aware that this exists and this is a thing, and it's so different to be a female in society than it is to be a male. And it might seem obvious what I'm saying, but so many men aren't aware of this. As someone who's perceived as cis a lot of the time now in male
Sure.
groups, the things I see, the things I experience sometimes are horrible as someone who has been brought up as a female. Sometimes I'm disgusted. Sometimes I'm like, how is this happening? Sometimes I don't feel like I can speak up. Sometimes it's intimidating. Sometimes it's not the right group. But sometimes it's not like that. Sometimes I'm comfortable. Sometimes I feel like I can speak up. Sometimes I can teach and I can show this isn't okay. What's happening right now, this isn't okay. Men might not always agree, might not want to see it, but sometimes they do. Sometimes they learn. I'm also still learning. Now that I'm living the rest of my life perceived as male, there'll be things that I'll miss out on understanding fully because I won't have experienced them as a female. The most I can do is talk to women, understand women, do what I can to help. And the more men that try and make women more comfortable in our society, that push women up in our society, that help and want to understand, the better this world will be for all of us. If you've had any social experiences like mine, or any that I haven't covered, leave comments below. Tell me about them. Tell me what social experiences you've had that you weren't expecting. And just remember this being so clear in my head, because I didn't know it was going to happen. I didn't realize that I'd be treated differently, which has shown me really how much worse women do have it, because I've lived it. If you think of any other experiences you've had.
Well, like, why on earth did she transition if she wasn't fully aware that it's going to be tougher being a female? I don't even know that it is, because honestly, I couldn't be a man. I wouldn't, you know. To me, it's why I feel like being a man would be a lot harder, honestly, than being a woman, especially in today's society. I mean, just the way this individual is talking, let alone everything else. I mean, you have to walk on eggshells, I feel. And then there's also the disparate rates of education between males and females. I mean, women are far more educated and oftentimes out earning men, at least in the US and in other countries as well. I mean, that's having ramifications on men as well. I don't think things are great for men at the minute. But anyway, I just thought, well, I didn't know what to expect from this video, but again, it's just, to me, it's like, you did perceive that there would be a difference. I mean, you can't pretend that that perceived difference was something you didn't notice and that it didn't influence your desire to become a, you know, I want to be delicate here, but it influenced your decision to seek a medical transition. Teal Woman says, it's okay to express yourself in different ways. Somebody will love you. It's funny but true. It seems like women are more motivated than men are. Yes, I think in our society now, women have a lot more masculine energy than men do. You know, I've noticed that specifically. It seems like the roles have really reversed and women are taking on more of the masculine role and men seem to be becoming more feminine. And it just continues. Like, I don't know where it started or where it ended, but I don't think it's good for either of us, because like, men aren't reaching their full potential. They're being wasted and women are burning them out because of it, because we were never meant to, you know, be like men. I think also overachievement is a big part of it. Women are pushed to overachieve and to achieve, and to not really kind of think about what we want to get out of life, usually until, you know, we're staring down the barrel of the end of our fertility. So it's a tough situation out here for both sexes. I don't know, but this person just, what an insight. And Ron is here. Oh, hello. Okay, let's queue up the next video I wanted to watch. Stop sharing for a moment. Okay, so I have another video, which I think my neighbor's kids are being insane right now. I hope you aren't picking up on them. They're like screaming. What the heck? Okay, so this one is a video from a detransitioner. I don't know if I'm going to want to keep watching. Well, we'll see. You hear them? Oh, goodness. What are they doing in the hallway? That's what I want to know. Why are they in the hallway? Go in your apartment. Okay. Yeah, they're being loud.
Hello. So I'm just making another video. This is more like just like me speaking out random thoughts. And from today, because I gave myself a haircut, and it was what happened before, during, and after that kind of made me decide to make this video. And the topic of this video is basically this huge pressure to feminize myself ever since detransitioning. I experienced this from the very moment I decided to go back to living socially as a woman, changing my name back to Tatiana, um, just having people refer to me as Tatiana and she, her, and just trying to move on from living as a trans man. So yeah, and what started this was basically, so for the past couple of weeks I thought I was gonna grow out my hair, which is not the first time I thought I was gonna grow out my hair. This has happened a couple times to me, but I never get past I mean, I just cut my hair. It was like maybe an inch or so longer. Um, but yeah, I don't get very far until I decide to like shave my head again. So mostly just because I feel like I keep feeling the urge to grow out my hair due to the pressure I feel around me to look a certain way. Even though I don't think that's how I actually want to be. Um, and I was trying to find a middle ground of like finding longer hairstyles that were masculine, but I just can't like see it. Like that long, I don't know. I just have a hard time seeing long hair specifically on someone who's female, because then you have the rest of like the face effects to look too. Like a guy with long hair looks different than a woman with long hair, is what I'm saying. And yeah, and I just uh, yeah, I don't know, I just couldn't see it, and I just eventually, like, after looking at videos of I was looking up people getting haircuts on YouTube, like, just to come up with like ideas of different hairstyles. And I was looking up like crew cuts on women or stuff like that, or even men getting haircuts like a crew cut or stuff like that. That made me want to cut my hair again. I'm very impulsive like that. But I mean,
Oh
it had
my
been going on for
goodness.
a while, the thought of cutting my hair, so it wasn't like completely.
I just, just to stop here, kind of interject my thoughts so far. This person clearly has a lot of unresolved issues, that I'm glad that she has decided to, detransition and not try to solve her problems by pretending to be a member of the opposite sex for the rest of her life. But it's clear that there's a large level of discomfort and anxiety about very silly little frivolous things, like an obsession with appearance too. I think that's kind of, for me, again, just due to my experiences interacting with and knowing female transitioners, like it's a difficult energy to be around, because they're stuck in this state of arrested development. Like they don't really get past the kind of insecurities that I would say are normal to face when you're maybe going through puberty, but they don't ever seem to get past that. Teal says there's nothing wrong with having short hair if you're a woman, which I agree. I mean, I've had short hair, had it for years, been growing it out since 2020, and I like it now. I never thought I would grow it out, but here I am. That being said, there is something wrong with compulsively cutting your hair, and it's often a sign of distress. And when I was younger, like when I was in my teen years and early 20s, I often would compulsively cut my hair. or diet or like do something with it to, I don't know why. Like to me now it was insane. Like when I think about it, I go back to thinking about that. I'm like, oh, I don't ever want to be in that kind of mindset again. But obviously, like I was a young woman in distress to a certain degree. So, I think the hyperfixation with messing with the hair, it's something that I've noticed in women who have, unresolved issues. So if a woman's hair is always changing, I'm not saying she gets a haircut every now and then, but like if she is constantly messing with her hair, doing something with her hair, changing the way it looks, changing the color of it, like growing it out a little and then shaving it off, like, anyway, it's just a little distressing to me, with this individual specifically. From what I can look, I'm looking at her overall countenance as well. She does not seem okay, She seems like she's still highly distressed and in a state of panic about a few inches of hair.
Impulsive, but it was like after watching the YouTube videos and like feeling like I had enough. And my dad had cut his hair today too, and so we used to shave our head around the same time because I would shave his head and then shave mine. So and I kind of grew up my hair to like the same length that he did, and then we would shave it, together and stuff like that. Although he usually has his hair shorter than mine. But yeah, I don't know. So I just decided to shave my head, and of course, when I told my family that I'm gonna cut my hair, my dad was like, "Oh, I wish you wouldn't do that," which is a very typical response from him. But it's stuff like that that makes me feel pressured to grow out my hair, which leads into this issue of me. I don't know, like I'm just having a hard time being myself, like being masculine regardless of what anyone else.
And yeah, this is the other thing. How old is this person? She looks like she's an adult. Like, you're an adult. Why are you worried about an offhand comment from your father? Of course your father doesn't want you to cut your hair. You're his little girl. Duh. But you're an adult. You can have your hair whatever length you want. It's nobody else's business. But like, again, it's that state of arrested development these people are often in, and that's not being addressed. Like, I don't know if it's childhood trauma. I don't know if it's like some sort of cognitive issue, but it's really common, and it's difficult to like see. And like I hear it, I listen to it, and it's like I want to have compassion, but like my instinct is just like, going off like, something is wrong with this person, because what normal adult person over the age of like 20 cares what anyone thinks about your hair? I mean, I like when people like my hair, for sure. I like when I get compliments on my hair, but if somebody doesn't like it, I don't let it, get to me. And you know what, Teal, I think that's a big part of this issue, is that I think that's part of the issue. And I also think that a lot of therapists are not really able to go there. They can't really fully express what they actually think or perceive, because it's dangerous too. There are a lot of risks involved with being even perceived as being critical of trans issues or the trans phenomena. If you're a therapist or you're in like the medical field at all, there are people that will come for you. And I do know therapists who specifically have had to walk a tightrope around this issue because of their own personal feelings. Because any therapist that has any like real knowledge, okay, any therapist who has any real training and has thought deeply about human psychology at all is going to, be questioning this phenomena. You can't know. Even from what I know about human psychology and the effects of like trauma on people's psychology, even from what I know alone, how are you going to be a professional at that and not be questioning this? I mean, I think a lot of it has to do with fear. Even now, even though it's become more safe to speak out about these issues, there is a lot of people who feel gagged and feel like they really can't express themselves until they retire or until they get out of their field, or until, because it would be just too dangerous for them. Financially speaking, it's like, I've known people when somebody comes to them and tells them that they think they're trans, they just refer them to someone else because they'll say, I'm sorry, I'm not qualified to treat that, because they can't deal with it and they don't want to have the conversation that could very well get them reported saying like, you're not trans, you're suffering from body dysmorphia because you were sexually abused or what have you, Anyway, let's continue.
Which is kind of weird. Like I feel like I should be able to do that, but like I guess I'm more sensitive to other people's opinions than I thought I was. I don't know. And I guess it's just I feel isolated from women in general, like mentally, not like physically, just like mentally, because I just have a hard time relating to women, which I think is just kind of like left over from having grown up thinking I was a guy and everything. But it's also hard when I'm trying to detransition, I have a hard time feeling like I don't fit in and stuff like that. So that kind of also like I feel like maybe me trying to grow out my hair is me trying to like fit in as a woman and being seen as a woman, even though if I had it my way and the world was completely accepting of anything, this would be like how I would look all the time. Or like just different short haircuts, like crew cuts, like getting a fade, stuff like that. So yeah, that's basically what this video is about. I've just been thinking of the constant pressure I feel. I don't think I'm the only one. I think there's other detrans women who are masculine, like stay masculine, presenting like me. I think maybe they also feel like an immense amount of pressure, subtle pressure. It's not always like people. Well, I mean, for my dad, like, it can be like that. Like he'll tell me straight up, I look like a guy, and I need to send the right signals and all this other stuff that really frustrates me. But it is what it is. But yeah, I just like I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one. I think it would be easier for me if I knew other butch or I know I'm pronouncing the word wrong. I always do. Other butch or masculine women in person. Like I do my fair amount of like just trying to connect to communities online, but like online only does so much for you. I think it would be much easier for me if I had like if I was friends with women that kind of presented similarly to me, or just I could feel like I could relate to them more, which I think would make it easier for me. Just because I tend to feel isolated, or just I feel too different from other women, and I also feel like I keep getting the overall message from other people that I am in one way or another different. Mostly from my dad.
Oh, honey, you are
And then
different.
also just like strangers in passing, like
I'm not trying, like, she's different, okay? Like, she's a little bit different. It's okay to be different. I'm strange, I don't always fit in with people. But I've learned to like be yourself, walk in your truth, and not be concerned with what other people are thinking about you, because 9 times out of 10 they're not thinking about you at all. And I think that's another part of this arrested development that I was talking about. They are consistently obsessed with how other people are thinking about them. And the reality is, most of the time, nobody's thinking about you. They're thinking about them. They're not even noticing you. And if they notice you, they may think you're a little weird. I mean, I think this individual is a little weird. I don't know what's going on with them. And if I had to interact with them, I'd probably be a little bit, it would tax my patience. I can tell that already just watching the video, that this person might be a little bit draining, because they seem to need more energy than the average person. And when I talk to people like this and I give them my feedback, if they don't start to implement my feedback, I get really kind of I start to cut them off, because it's like, I gave you the feedback. The feedback was what you need to do. If you're not going to take the feedback, then I'm not going to give you any more, because you clearly need instruction in life. You're clearly looking to me to get some, and you're not implementing it. Well, too bad. I'm not here to coddle. I'm here to help. And if you're not going to take my help, if you're not going to listen to the very true things that I'm going to advise, goodbye. That's just usually my approach with this kind of person, because otherwise, you end up spending an hour with them talking about their insecurity, and nobody cares. Like, we all have insecurities. We're human beings. It's part of life. Nobody's interested. Thank you, Lady Solidarity. I'm glad you like the topic. I mean, it's a tough topic. And yeah, I think this person might be autistic as well. I think she is. I agree.
Every time I get referred to as a dude or something like that, that just kind of lets me know that people aren't seeing me as a woman, they're seeing me as a guy or something like that.
Nobody sees you as a
I'm going
guy.
to become more okay with that, just because, I know I'm not a guy, so I shouldn't let it get to me too much. I used to have a harder time with that, especially early on in my detransition. It hit me more when every time I would get actually misgendered as a guy. But now I think I'm better about it. But yeah, I don't know. It's just, it is what it is. Yeah, so yeah, that's basically what this video is about. It's just my frustrations with the amount of pressure I feel to look a certain way or stuff like that. It's very frustrating to me. Like I told my dad, I'm female, so any way I want to dress, women can be masculine too. Like, me dressing the way I dress and me cutting my hair short doesn't magically make me a guy. But he always tells me that, you're sending certain signals to other people, that somehow by dressing this way I'm communicating to everyone else that I'm a guy or something. I don't know. It's very frustrating. So that's just kind of the message I keep getting, directly, through conversation, or just whenever he makes a comment or something like that. But it's okay. So right now, what I'm working on is not giving into the feeling that I have to somehow fit in or something like that.
It's probably for the best.
Yeah. But I don't know. It's okay. So yeah, that's basically this video. This one, I guess, not really a check-in, more like just me talking about what's been on my mind as of lately. I'll try to make another video sometime soon. I'm also going to be uploading more Fortnite videos and other video game related videos.
Oh dear.
I like the game. So yeah.
Oh dear. Not the Fortnite.
Coco.
Oh, there's a cat. Looks like it's a black cat, maybe. It's a black cat, y'all. All right. We made it to the end, so we get to see a black cat. That's nice.
Okay, everyone. Well, if you like this video, leave a like. Subscribe if you haven't already, if you want to, of course. And
yeah, no, not going to do that. Not going to do that, but definitely was Yeah, I don't want to like, yeah, exactly. She needs to learn how to ignore people. Exactly. Like, I'm too busy to care. Like, don't get me wrong. I love attention. I love when people notice me, but as I go about my business, I'm not here caring what people think. You know, it's what, why live your life that way? If you don't support their narrative, they react or take it as an attack. Indeed they do. Okay, so the next two videos I have queued up are going to be a little bit more difficult. So yeah, just bear with me. And these videos are going to be talking about, I think, some complications from medical transition. This is the first video is from is relating to female to, or not female, but this will be dealing with male transitioners is what I'm trying to say. And then the second video will be dealing with female transitioners. So yeah. And this compilation again was put together by Shapeshifter.
Ooh.
Okay, let's try that again. I keep messing this up. I'm sorry, y'all. Like I said, I'm like a boomer with this sometimes. Okay.
My favorite thing the conservatives say about trans women is that when they call hormone replacement therapy chemical castration. Ooh. The transgenders are doing chemical castration. Like, bro, we are also doing regular castration. I just can't afford that. Oh no, the hormones I'm taking are gonna make me sterile. I want to cut my off. I am very excited for bottom surgery. Not so much because I'm looking forward to having sex with the vagina, and more because I'm looking forward to being able to use my butthole like a special little treat the way cis girls do.
Foul. That is foul. Okay, but to be expected.
What's up, TikTok world? This your girl. Yes, I am trans. Today's story is I'm going to talk about me and my transitioning. I'm 49 years old. It took me a very long time to get to a point in life that I love myself unconditionally. In the last couple of years, I have really loved myself. I had some surgeries done. I had an oreectomy. If people don't know what an oreectomy is, that means I got castrated. Castration is take your transitioning to another level to make you look more feminine, make your body break down, make more of your womanly features come out. I've always been feminine as a boy, if they want to say, or as a person, I've always been feminine. I've never been extra masculine.
I'm getting surgery today, so I just wanted to do a video before and then I'll do an after the surgery. Okay, so here's the after. You can't see anything because I was getting orchiectomy, not face surgery, but I just thought I'd show you all.
Over the past few years, I've seen more trans feminine patients opt to do orchiectomy as a first step in their bottom surgery. There's many reasons for this. Sometimes it may be the only step, of course, for some individuals. For others, they just feel like they're not quite ready yet for full bottom surgery and all the time and effort and expense that's involved with that. And for other patients, they may decide to do orchiectomy a little bit earlier so that they can get off the blocker medications. Some of the blockers, such as spironolactone, are notorious for causing side effects such as lightheadedness, dizziness, that sort of thing. So doing the orchiectomy allows us to get off these medications, and oftentimes we can get the hormones at appropriate levels more easily also.
So this is going to be 2 months in my orchiectomy. Got a trans woman. I got an orchiectomy. I got 14%. So
I got titties at the top and dick at the bottom. Titties at the top and dick at the bottom. Titties at the top and dick at the bottom.
if that makes sense. Some trans women get this, and some people get this for vaginoplasty.
A very common myth we see for trans feminine patients is that having an orchiectomy as a stage before your definitive bottom surgery, even if you want to do full vaginoplasty, is going to cause a problem. So I think that the theory was that if we remove the testicles, the skin, the scrotal skin that's there is going to shrink and make it impossible to create a vagina. I have never found this to be the case. So first of all, skin shrinkage doesn't really happen that effectively in general, and that's why in plastic surgery, when we lose weight, we're oftentimes removing loose skin afterwards. It's a huge part of plastic surgery. So that's reason number one. Reason number two is, even if somehow magically all the skin went away there, a lot of my patients were doing a peritoneal flap at this day and age. So that would be our backup plan if for some reason the skin magically went away.
Yeah, I couldn't
That
believe
sounds
the results
really
I was
sick.
getting and what this new technique meant. It's life-changing. I'm the first international patient to have peritoneal vaginoplasty with Dr. Ting here at Mount Sinai. I picked Dr. Ting and Mount Sinai for the reason of this, being at the forefront of medicine, really. That's why I made this journey all the way from Australia.
So the peritoneum vaginoplasty is a new way of doing a vaginoplasty that we've developed here at Mount Sinai. The reason why patients are seeking this operation is because the old way of creating a vagina really isn't that lifelike, it isn't that natural appearing. Whereas this technique creates a vagina that's much more natural. It's pink, it's smooth, it secretes fluid, almost indistinguishable when you look inside it from what a vagina in someone who is assigned female at birth would look like. And the satisfaction rate is very high. And we've been very, very happy with our outcomes, and we now get requests from all over the world.
My passion is photography. With my transition, I felt released and renewed. Like I was seeing the world in a totally different light. Everything was brighter, more vivid. If this is something you really want, don't hesitate. It's the best thing you love.
I have to say, the person who compiled these videos is someone who is a male transitioner. Yeah, I think the sound isn't very good, so I didn't know what to expect. I'm sorry about it. I can't hear them very well on my own end. Orchiectomy is when they remove the testicles. So it's basically just a castration. They remove that bit and that's it. And now they're talking about with this person. So I paused it here because obviously the person who created this video has been through the medical surgery to his genitals, and he's effectively been castrated, and it didn't turn out well for him. So we'll just say that and he's very unhappy, obviously, with what was done to him and what's being done to other people. And he's being very critical of this video specifically. Like here, it's very small, but let me read it to you. He said, encouraging others to be guinea pigs by purchasing expensive experimental surgery. And obviously this this person is a paid actor. Like this video is very fake. It's so obviously not I mean, I'm not saying that this person isn't getting the surgery, but it's very, you know, fluffy.
So yeah, we'll see. But yes, so things that are great. One is just like sitting cross-legged and stuff.
So yeah, this person had an orchiectomy.
Such a lot is the dog. Great. I went skinny dipping recently. I haven't gone skinny dipping in a couple of years. Just like felt more like right for me, and it's kind of personal.
Yeah, I can't really hear this one. It's on. Is it inverted? I don't know about with this new surgery that they're doing, but it sounds like really dangerous because it's called like peri something. That's that area, the perineum. That area is not an area that should be cut into. So I'm just kind of like. I mean, ideally, the whole area should never be cut into because it's not a good idea. It's an area that is likely to get infected. Anyway. Okay, let's forward to the next person.
But I did 2 orchiectomies today, which is the removal of a man's ball. I was literally the ball reaper today. Happy Friday.
At the top and dick at the bottom. Titties at the top and dick at the bottom. I got titties at the top and dick at the bottom. Now you know up front. It won't be a fucking problem. I got titties at the top and dick at the bottom. Titties at the top and dick at the bottom.
All right then. So this next video,
yes, you may ask. Thank you.
Is on vaginectomy, where they somehow scoop out the female genitalia. Indeed. Not to mention the healing process, which usually doesn't go very well. Lady Solidarity says, I used to think I should have been born male, and if I felt that way nowadays, I'd be encouraged to become a man. And I no longer feel that way either. Yeah, I know. It's very dangerous now. I mean, like, I can only imagine how confusing this is for young people, for kids, especially. Like, how do they navigate the kind of weird things that come up around personality and gender and fitting in and all of that? Like, yeah, I mean, I worry too. I think of myself in like certain stages of my life as a young person. This would have definitely been something I would have gotten sucked into a bit. I don't see how, like, and getting sucked into a bit, like, it's just so, I don't know, it's scary. It's one of those things you get sucked into, like, you could wake up and like be in a place that you really don't want to be. So it's just frightening to think about how trendy it is and how normalized it is and how people are blasé about it. Okay, so can I ask what a vaginectomy is? And it says the vagina is removed entirely with incisions made along the wall, eliminating fluid excretion and the need for pap smears. It will close over time. It can be done at the same time as a hysterectomy. Oh, good God.
Yes, you may ask. Thank you very much. In a vaginectomy, they go through the vagina in order to make incisions along the wall of the vagina and remove it entirely. I personally like to refer to it as jack-o'-lanterning, but I think that might be a little gruesome for others. It can prevent the vagina from secreting
Jack-o'-lanterning.
any fluids, and it also eliminates the need for any pap exams. The surgeon might close up the vagina itself, or it'll close up on its own over time. That's what mine did. You can also get it done at the same time as a hysterectomy, which was offered to me, but I didn't get it done at the same time because I didn't feel like I was ready for it yet, and that's perfectly fine.
What is up? So last time I talked about part 1 of my 4-part bottom surgery, which was the hysterectomy performed by a gynecologist surgeon. So part 2 is going to be the vaginectomy. What that is the removal of the whole vagina. The vagina is a long muscular tube that connects your vulva, which is the outer part, up to the cervix, which is the opening for the uterus, which will be already pulled out at this point. The 2 options to do this surgery are through the vaginal canal or laparoscopically. Since the laparoscopic setup will already be in place for the hysterectomy portion, this surgeon's just going to jump in. What they'll do is cut the connective tissue around the vagina that keeps it in place and remove the whole vagina. My surgeon will be keeping a little bit of the entrance of the vagina because the inner vaginal tissue is the same tissue that is what makes up the penis. So if something happened during the 4th part of the surgery, during the metoidioplasty section of the surgery, and they needed to pull screen graft for whatever reason, they could do that from what is left of the vaginal opening. Otherwise, this surgeon will jump back in, close everything off, call it a day. The only other time this surgery is performed aside from gender-affirming bottom surgery is for vaginal cancer, and so I do have an oncologist surgeon who's going to be doing this part of the surgery. And then at this point, we're going to be a few hours in the surgery. Overall, they're estimating to be about 14 hours.
14 hours.
This is the urologist's part, and he'll step in and do a urethra reroute, which I'll get into in another video. But this is part 2 of 4 parts of my bottom surgery.
So when I got my stage 1 phalloplasty, one of the parts of the surgery is called a vaginectomy. What they did during that time is they took out the vaginal canal and closed it up.
So today I'm going to be talking about vaginectomy surgery. I had my vaginectomy and hysterectomy done at the same time. A vaginectomy is a surgery to close the hole. I don't want to say the word. I don't want to trigger anyone's dysphoria. With bottom...
You can't even say the word. You can say vaginectomy, which contains the word, but you can't even say the word. If you can't even say the word, what are you doing getting it removed? Like, these people, like, again, the arrested development, they can't even use real words to describe their genitals. It's always some euphemism, or it's always like, oh, we can't say the real word because that's triggering. Like, really? But you'll get it cut out by a doctor.
Surgery, you can choose to have vaginectomy done or not. With phalloplasty, they strongly recommend it because it makes bottom surgery a whole lot harder. Metoidioplasty is probably the best bet if you want to keep that area open. Hysterectomy is, I'm pretty sure, mandatory for phalloplasty. My hysterectomy was laparoscopic, and I felt almost no pain with my hysterectomy. All my pain was down there, rightfully so. They asked me, but my surgeon and my whole squad asked me if I wanted to keep my ovaries or not. I told my doctors I didn't want them. I think I even joked with them. I said, throw them in the trash. I was in an excruciating amount of pain for the first 3 days of surgery. After those 3 days, I was still sore, but it wasn't as bad.
So if you've been following me, I had about 13 weeks ago a vagectomy and a simple meta done. My surgeon decided, because I was still contemplating having phalloplasty, that she was going to leave my opening up without with me wanting it completely closed. I explained that I wanted it completely closed, but she left it open anyways. I thought she did it because she nicked my bladder, but to find out she left the mucosa lining, so that's part of still your vagina, open there, because she's like, oh, in case you want urethra lengthening. But the whole point of me getting the vagectomy is to be completely closed up and not have an opening there. So that being said, on Monday, I went in for what's like an hour procedure to get the mucosa out, like to scrape it out and to get it sewn, right? So I had that done. Felt like surgery went fine. I just got up and, I'm like ready to go. She did not give me any discharge notes or anything. Like, I'm like, well, what am I supposed to do? How do I take care of myself? Like, is there any like precautions I need? Nothing. So I was just like, okay, just, me knowing how to take care of things, I was like, okay, I know not to lift and all that. Well, anyways, so it's been like irritated. Swelling went down because this was on Monday. The swelling went down, and then I noticed there were some long stitches hanging because I knew they were external stitches. I'm like, okay, so that's why it's irritated when I, walk or sit or anything. Nope. So just about 30 minutes ago, and it's 3:41 a.m., I was just like, oh, let me look at that again because it's still very irritated and like there's still like a slight color of blood there. So I was just like, oh, I have like antibiotic spray and triple antibiotics and all that. Or ointment. So I decided to look there. Oh my Lord. So the stitches are gone and I have an opening there, and that's why it's bleeding. So that's what's causing me irritation, is that I have an opening. I am just very unhappy. I really don't even want her even looking down there, but I guess tomorrow I will try to, I guess later today, I will start texting her on her personal phone. Okay, surgery update. It's been almost 2 weeks since my surgery. There is a lot of pain and nerve damage, just because my arms were out for 5 hours. So I have shooting pain up and down my arms, and sometimes my right arm goes numb and my left leg hurts. But I still have pain around my bladder because they nicked my bladder, and it seemed like it reversed my bladder surgery that I had in 2014. But I finally today stopped bleeding. The skin on my penis rejected. I know it's like simple meta, but they do sew it up on the side, and it rejected and fell off. So she's going to remove the fat that's hanging tomorrow. The only thing that really feels good is laying down, but I do need to get back to going to work. But I'm gonna attempt maybe on Tuesday to go to work because I see my doctor tomorrow. Just
What?
sitting is uncomfortable. Standing, I can do it for a while. This is a longer recovery than I thought, but nicking your bladder during vagectomies is kind of common. It's because of just everything's close together. So hopefully they can't do anything to fix my penis until it heals. But hopefully talking to my doctor, who's also friends with my other surgeons that did my top surgery, Dr. Sarah Danker and Dr. Fine is the one that just did my my vagectomy. And Simple Meta talk to each other. So Dr. Fine said that it probably only one more surgery, which is scrotumplasty, urethra lengthening, fixing my penis, monplasty, and fat removal of my skin hanging from weight loss on my stomach. Hopefully the recovery will be faster because of already me getting a vagectomy. But I will keep you updated. Love you guys. Just, is it worth it? Yes, in the long run it will be. All right. Love you. Bye.
In the vast Latin
Okay. That was tough. I don't know how y'all are doing, but that was tough for me. That was that last one. Everyone else was kind of nonchalant about it, but that last one was and yeah. She did say that she's going back to work, or she wants to go back to work, but it's like you are in no position to go back to work. And I wanted to respond to this. It seems like this is the ceiling. The ceiling is death. People can die from this. You can die from an infection. And in that area, they nicked her bladder. I don't know what that means for her, but I'm assuming that means incontinence issues, which she probably would have had anyway from having her whole vaginal canal scooped out. I mean, it's man, I'm just, yeah. And then she's like, at the end, is it worth it? Yes, in the end, it will be. Like, honey, what is so worth it? And the thing is, she's been hurt so much, and yet she's willing to go under again and like trust these people to keep cutting her and the human body is not clay. The human body is not it's not so simple to change it. There will inevitably be complications, and people have complications from facial surgeries. There's a woman I saw on YouTube. She has a big channel where she talks about plastic surgery. She's had several nose jobs, and with her last one, she lost part of her nose. Like, it became necrotic and fell off. So she has a very strange nose now. So imagine cutting into some of your most tender and sensitive flesh, which also happens to be located near where your body eliminates waste, which is full of bacteria. It sounds like a recipe for a disaster. Anyway, yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, we went from kind of mildly dumb to very tragic here with this stream. So Teal says it's time to stop. Indeed. Donald says normal people don't prey on an obviously troubled person like this. The surgeons are all psychopaths. I mean, I think a lot of people in the medical industry are sadists. We don't talk about that enough, but it is common. It is common that people attracted to certain professions do tend to be sadists. And it's scary, you know, a lot of the times people die. I mean, the rates of medical mistakes and malpractice that kill people in this country, it's astounding, let alone around the world. But again, these people often, they are vulnerable. A lot of them do have things like autism, which causes them to just trust authority figures without much thought or care, and, you know, to reject anyone who, you know, cautions them against it. And the levels of just, I mean, a lot of it too is I think a sunken cost fallacy. That, like the woman in the last video, like she probably feels like she's come this far and she just has to go all the way, and she just has to keep going because she's already invested so much time, pain, energy, and money into it. But it's like, this is the thing too that like really bothers me about this issue. And when you get down to it and you want to like talk to people about it and like why you are so against it, or you're cautious about it, or you try to encourage people not to go down this path, I don't think a lot of people realize how it feels to not be healthy. If you're a young, able-bodied person, you really don't know what you're facing. Like, and it's hard to really understand the consequences of medical interventions. You know, surgeries are not elective procedures. They're done for a reason. They're done, you know, or they should only be done because they have to be, because it's going to, you know, drastically improve function or quality, or, you know, potentially life. But a person should not just be cut into for any reason. And especially when we get into like your genitals, I mean, it's just, again, we talk about, this is the area where our body eliminates waste. So you're really messing with a whole lot of systems. And it's very likely that this woman in the video who's put herself through all of this is going to end up not being able to control her bladder, or, you know, having to use a catheter. I've seen that with a lot of these surgeries. You know, a lot of people have, you know, flesh that goes necrotic. Oftentimes, like the skin grafts they take from other parts of the body don't take. It's serious. And it's not something that people talk about, or if they do talk about it, they don't want to lose their community by talking and speaking out about it. So they might talk about some of their complications, but they'll always be like, I have no regrets. I'm like, well, Really? Really? Because I think you do. I think if you had the choice to go back and do it all over again, you wouldn't. But you're here now, so you're just going to make the best of what has happened. But so many people end up like completely, totally castrated. Like they pretend that they can create some sort of, you know, opposite sex member, and they can't. I don't know. It's human beings like promising more than they can deliver at the end of the day. And the issue that needs to be dealt with is the fact that, you know, the way this person is thinking and feeling about themselves is wrong. Because we're either born male or female, and that's it. And it doesn't have anything to do with your temperament or your personality. You can be any way, but you still were born male or female for a reason. Sorry, I saw this comment earlier and I didn't respond. I'd wager a majority of the people who go through this have been sexually abused and not received proper treatment, or even block out the trauma so they can't get the help they need. I think that is so often the case. I mean, I agree with you. I think that's overwhelmingly the case with these people. I mean, it's obvious. It does not take much to see. I mean, you have to be very, very traumatized already and very disconnected from yourself to be comfortable with having people do that to you. I mean, and like I said, you know, every female transitioner that I've known has had some sort of past with incest. You know, I've said it in other videos. I'll say it again in this one. Very common, very common. So, you know, but again, like, we don't deal with the real issues in this culture, do we? I mean, we're in, again, we're living in opposite land. We're living in the upside down. We're living in the reality that is reversed. I don't know how to put it. Like, everything is a reversal of the truth in the world, in the culture. It's all reversals. And we are then, we have to like play along with the reversal in order to get along. And it's, when is it going to stop? I want it to stop. I feel like it must stop. It's not, how many more people are going to go through that? You know, these people are, you know, we talk about earlier, you know, this population is very privileged currently. They have a lot of backing. They have a lot of support. You know, people speak up for them, whether they deserve it or not. You know, I've had that happen. I was talking with a friend about the time that she was dealing with a friend who transitioned, and she let her friend know that she, you know, was not ideologically in agreement with that, but that, you know, she still wanted to be friends and be there for her. But anyway, that person blew up, and she had other people coming around and chewing her out about it. So this private like conversation between her and this friend became like a scenario where this person went and told other people, and they felt like they were going to be the trans ally by coming forward and, you know, chewing her out as well. So this is a lot of how people, you know, virtue signal and pretend to be good. They glom onto this community and pretend they're the most oppressed people on earth. And then their activism is, you know, based around chewing out anyone who dares to question it. And yeah, it's bad. Lady Solidarity says, bless my heart. Bless your heart for your genuine compassion. I mean, I feel like I've been punched in the gut. It's genuine, definitely. People want a normalized MAPS. Are you referring to like the Peter files? Is that what you're referring to? The MAPS? Is that what you mean by MAPS? I mean, I don't know what to even say about that. That's a whole other video, but that is normalized. That's been normalized. Like, hello? I mean, I don't know. That's another part of this thing with the trans kind of thing and having minors, you know, stopping them from going through puberty. That is to, you know, those people don't grow up to become sexually mature. So I think it's all tied together, you know, in a lot of ways. I mean, all of the sexual liberals are kind of tied together. They're all kind of in with each other. So if you like scratch the surface on any of this stuff, you're going to find pedophiles. You're going to find, you know, oh, here's the sex work lobby. Oh, you know, oh, here we go. Here's the TransKult. It's all part of the same machine, essentially, which is sexology, which has been, you know, a study and practice that has kind of had negative consequences for society as a whole. The sexologists have been very much at the forefront of all of these things, and their agenda is pretty much to push sexual liberalism, you know, more and more openness, less and less restriction, essentially, is the end goal. And anybody who stands in the way of that is considered the enemy. So like anybody who puts up the boundaries, or anybody who, you know, wants to talk about the negative ramifications of like the rampant prostitution or pornography, the effects of that, or, you know, the issues with people being transitioned, and anybody who stands in the way of that becomes maligned, becomes an enemy. And these people have a lot of influence and money, and, you know, sex sells. You know, it's always going to be, it has a power over the imagination. So these people are positioned to have a lot of power in this culture, and you'll always be maligned as, you know, oh, you're in bed with the right wing, you know. So the feminists particularly get this. They're not right wing at all. The feminists who, you know, for example, push for restriction around these issues, you know, these topics that I've brought up, are consistently, you know, called right wing, or they're, you know, because they might work in what's the word I'm looking for? Work in solidarity with like a Christian organization around an issue like pornography, or, you know, whatever. It's been the case, and these are women who are very like radical left-wing progressives in every other respect, but because they, want to restrict easy access to sex, they become maligned. Yeah, Jenny. Oh, you've been called a TERF, Jenny. That's yeah. I mean, I have too. I don't like it though. Some women like reclaim it. They're like, yeah, I'm a TERF, or like, and I don't like it. Like, it's just another word that people throw at you so they don't have to actually deal with what you're talking about and like get to the heart of the matter. And this stuff is heartbreaking. Like, these are real people. These are real lives. The fact that that young female person has had all of those surgeries, and she's working class too. She's like worried about getting back to work. It's not like this is somebody living high on the hog. This is somebody who has to sell her labor every freaking day. Cutting into a body like that has consequences. A worker is going to be made redundant if they have to go through enough surgeries. I can't tell you the number of people I've worked with over the years who've like had to quit or take extended time off and, without pay because they had to go through some surgery and they were not recovered in the time that it was said that they would be. But the human body is not so easily malleable, and it takes a lot longer to recover than we even think. And Chickpea, hello and welcome. I'm glad you caught me live. You got to call TERF. Congratulations. That's the way to handle it, really. Just own the insult. I mean, I push back. I'm like, no, I'm not something that you're going to call me. The last thing I want are surgery. Yeah, I know. They're horrible. They're horrible. And it's just, the blasé attitude about it. Yeah, I don't know if you were here when I mentioned that earlier, but the rate of medical malpractice, the rate of people that die from medical malpractice is frightening. And it makes you scared. It's like you might need something done and you're like worried, am I going to wake up from this? What are they going to do? I could possibly have all these complications, but what if they do something else? It's frightening. Right. I know. Like, and it probably, it got paid for by the company plan, and the company gets to, put a rainbow next to their name because, they provide health care for trans people. Meanwhile, that person is in far worse shape than they ever would have been had they not been cut. Had they not had these things done. I mean, there are consequences to surgery, and they want to get people young as well. I want to say this as well. They target the young specifically because the young really don't understand the ramifications of health. I've been talking about the fat acceptance movement lately. Again, most of the faces at the forefront of that are under the age of 35. Because once you start to age and your body starts to go through things, you start to understand that health isn't static and that you're not guaranteed it. And for young people, especially people under the age of 18, they really don't understand the consequences of what they're really facing. When they hear the term complication, it does not mean the same thing to them as it does to a 40-year-old, right? A 40-year-old looking at complications is going to have a much more mature understanding of what a complication from a surgery is than somebody under the age of 20. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Yeah, I know. I mean, our brains aren't even really fully formed until the age of 25, right? So, you know, the last, or not the last video, but one of the recent videos I did responding to Buck Angel, the person that they had on, this young female, was 18 years old, and she's talking about getting a hysterectomy. I'm like, I'm still kind of in shock about that. And I still feel like it was totally irresponsible for Buck to be all like, yeah, about that. Because it's like a hysterectomy. Hysterectomies are what old ladies get. An 18-year-old should not be getting a hysterectomy unless they have to. Like, and it's all to what? Validate a fake identity anyway. Man, I don't know. I should probably get off of here because I've been going for a while, and I don't know, that last video really took me off. Oh, I'm sorry, Jenny. I didn't know you. Yeah. They hadn't given you any pain meds. Oh, God. Oh, God. Oh, God. That's terrible. Like I said, a lot of these doctors are sadists as well. Like, sadists are attracted to certain industries and fields. And, you know, it's scary. So I don't know. I've probably been preaching to the choir here. Maybe I've opened some eyes, but man, we can't have an attitude about this that is just uninformed. You know, we have to be informed. This is happening to people, you know, this is happening to people. These little videos, these are real people that these things happen to. Reminds me of like Andrea Dworkin. She had this speech she wrote called "Pornography Happens to Women," you know, because, and the whole purpose of that speech was to remind people that this isn't just, you know, a fantasy. It isn't just an idea. These things are really happening, you know. These things are really happening to people. It's real. And you think because there's a camera there, it creates some kind of distance. You know, this person is a social media influencer. God, you know what? I just recently got on TikTok again. I'm going to be trying to work with TikTok, you know, it's something that I'm challenging myself to do in the next year. But I searched trans, and one of the first videos that came up was this woman responding to, oh, I don't know the name of the woman, but she was in the What is a Woman documentary that the Daily Wire put out with Matt Walsh. And she was the transitioned woman who was speaking out about her botched surgery. So she was on another program, and this woman responded, and she was not trans herself. She was a, you know, quote unquote ally, whatever. Not really, because if you were an ally, you would do everything you can to prevent these horrible things from happening to people. Like, so, yeah, she said in the video, she was like, people go through, there's a whole show called Botched where people talk about all their plastic surgeries that, you know, were horrible and had complications. But for some reason, we only focus on the trans people. I'm like, I don't know. I have to figure out how to like download these videos and respond to them. But that really sent me off. I was just like, first off, plenty of people speak out against plastic surgery, for one. But also, like, you're meant to be an ally to these people, and yet here you are making light of the fact that these people are suffering. Like, these people were, these people that are speaking out are really brave, because most of the time, a lot of them don't want to speak out. They may have signed non-disclosure agreements, or they may have, signed contracts that they wouldn't speak out against their surgeons, or they may also have, a real fear of losing their community and support from the only like support network they have. My cat is urging me on, but like, here we go. Yep. Matt watched sucks, but the film was hilarious. I don't know. He's funny. I take him. I don't agree with everything he says, though, I will say. But I do, what I appreciate about him? That film was hilarious. But he's also defended, like, there's like all the red pill content that's like anti-marriage. And there was one piece I saw where someone was like making fun of Pierce Brosnan. Like, they had an old picture of him with his wife and like what they looked like when they first got married versus now, and she's a bit fatter. And somebody was like making fun of that and stating that, somehow this was like, I don't know what they were doing, but they were just sort of like diminishing her and, trying to make it out like he's suffering because his wife gained weight after bearing multiple children of his. And like Matt spoke up for her and was like, yeah, she's in her 60s and she's had several kids. Like, like I was surprised at that. Like, because usually you don't hear that, but I will say, I'm not a tradcon like he is, but he is consistent, and I found that kind of heartening that he defended that a marriage would still be good just because a woman put on a little weight after like aging and having children. Wow, that's horrible. I mean, you should not have to go through a surgery without having some sort of pain relief. They make it so hard to get any like help as well. Yo, S.A. Brady, that is exactly enabler, not ally. I assume this is about Matt Walsh. Are useless and don't deserve help for resources. Yeah, I don't know. That's obviously that would be something that I disagree with. Although I have to say the way the resources are used now is really not helpful, and a lot of the issue with the homeless is the psychological issues that come up with helping that particular population, which again are not addressed because nowhere are psychological issues addressed. Nowhere. We just go through life pretending like people aren't, reacting to and responding to trauma. Yeah, that's true, Jenny. They used to give them out like candy, and now you have to fight to get anything. And they make you seem like you're some kind of drug addict. But I don't know. I'm just, despite living with chronic pain, I'm just grateful that I've never, had or been down the route of taking anything for it, because you just, that's the thing about like the medical establishment and pharma, like they just want to make you a slave. You become totally dependent on them, and you don't get any, you become dependent, and you're easily controlled and led, and it's just another way to trap people. There's a lot of traps in this world, and one of those traps is over medicalization. Don't get surgery unless you physically have to. Don't get your vagina scooped out, cut out, and all of your internal organs unless you have to. Like, there should be no reason to. Because, if the issue is mental, the solution is not a medical. If the issue is in here, we should not be cutting up the body to deal with that. But anyway, I need to go. My cat is upset. It's wild. Where's the care? Where's the compassion anywhere? Like, what happened? Where are we at? Like, as a society, I don't know. I try to be optimistic and hopeful, but I don't feel that this stream was really optimistic, hopeful, or I feel like it was kind of dark, and I want to end on a positive note. I want to say something positive. I want to say something, uplifting. What do you think? Do you have anything positive to say? I love you. You're the best thing in the world. Yeah. If you're comfortable talking about it, like, it can be helpful because people don't know. You make nice sounds. You make nice sounds. Get near the microphone so they can hear the purr. Wow. You're the best thing in the world. What's better than a kitty? What's better than a kitty? I don't know much that's better than a kitty. Mwah. Good kitty. Good kitty. Good kitty. There was a black kitty in the video that we watched. Do you remember the kitty? The kitty was fluffy, though, not smooth. You're smooth. I swear, he has the most velvet fur, too. He's so soft. So soft. Just like when you was a baby, you haven't gotten unsoft. You've stayed soft. I guess that's my positive note, At least, there's some good in the world. There's lovely little animals. There's people who care and want to help and who want to stop and who want to open eyes. At least that's the case, and I just hope that, we'll all somehow have an impact. I don't know if my video here does or if I'm preaching to the choir sometime, but, I have had people tell me that I've given them reason to rethink, what they were considering. So at least, there's that. So I was, say to Jenny, if you're still watching, words of caution can help people. They can help people because, oftentimes certain things can't be avoided, like surgery. Sometimes we have to do things, but it's always should be like the last resort to cut into someone. It really isn't nice. Yeah, that too. Yeah. if no one's this is the thing. If no one's questioning what's going on, then there's a problem. Everyone, there should always be, I think, regardless of the situation, people that ask questions. And if the people that are asking questions are shut down and those questions aren't answered, that like really tells you something about what's going on. Hi. Yeah, they are. That's so true. They are. Even the most basic things, like even getting, like somebody brought up getting a filling, getting root. I've had a few root canals done at this point. They're not little things. They're very serious. Yes, it was serious. Like the recovery, how your body responds, everything you go through. But it's so easy to like normalize it to young people who really have no effing clue, and then wind up with people who end up being lifelong patients. The whole purpose, like if you literally go through a vaginectomy, for example, as we discussed today, you're going to be a lifelong patient. There's never going to be a point in time where you aren't going to be tethered to the medical establishment. It's never going to be the case. So good luck. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, that's rough. Sweet dreams, Ron. Yeah, you know what, Ron? Thank you. I need to get out of here. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I've been very lucky, with the root canals I've had, that they were very compassionate and listened to me and, gave me more pain relief when it was needed. Like they didn't hold back. So I was very lucky. But I'm so sorry. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that can happen. I mean, it's horrible out here, y'all. Anyway, I hope you all have a good night. And, oh, thank you. That's nice. All right. Yeah, I mean, imagine what our ancestors went through. We are lucky that we have what we have. Exactly. I mean, and that's the other thing too, like the classism that comes into this, especially with like the Blair Whites and the Buck Angels of the world. Like they're so quick to make fun of people for not passing, and be like, oh, you're not even trying. Why isn't anybody supposed to respect you? I'm like, well, they can't afford all the surgery you can. Like just because you can afford to get more parts of your face shaved off doesn't make you more legitimate, but whatever. My little bit of shade thrown there. Like, okay, so you threw more money at it, so therefore you're more valid, apparently. Okay. And that's supposed to mean something to me. Anyway, have a good night, y'all. Thank you for watching these with me, and thank you for participating in the chats. And, I'll be back another time. I'll probably be back before Christmas. I'll try to, or maybe I'll do a Christmas stream. I am planning to spend Christmas alone this year with my kitty, so I might do a little festive stream. We'll see. Anyway, goodbye.